Welcome, everybody. Whoa! One little small
Echo.
problem. Welcome, everybody, to BrainStorming, episode 3.
I'm Brian McFadden.
And I'm Nick Tesla.
There's a battle on for your brain.
So let your brain evolve. Today, we're going to touch on some interesting topics. First off,
Echo.
Happy.
Out of whack.
4, 20. I thought I was on top of everything, and apparently, I was not. I apologize, Brian, and I apologize to the audience.
Marijuana affects the memory.
Today, we're going to get into a lot of things. Yes, it does. So, happy 420 week, because it is not 420 on when you will be seeing this show. But just do know that we are enjoying 420 here today.
And we literally started making preparations for the episode at about 4:20 p.m. on 420. So it is now 4:50.
Other than topics, yes, I think you're correct. We got our topics on down pat, son. All right, so I guess the first thing we got to touch on.
Yeah, we got a full house.
I guess we're going to sound a little bit like NPR today because we're both a little bit high. We're a little bit higher, I guess, than usual. We're not. Hey, I'm not saying on every show we're going to be high. Sometimes it's good for creative purposes, but it's not every show that we're high. But today we're a little higher.
Today's a special day.
Yeah, we're a little higher than usual. Today we're.
But now, some people may not realize.
We're normally flying like a kite. Today we're kind of closer to the clouds. We're closer with the planes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Maybe.
But before we dig into our topics, and we do have a drove of them for the day. A lot of people know April 20th. Oh, it's 420, man! Light up. Also, we should point out it was historically. Today was Adolf Hitler's birthday.
Yeah. And
also it is the 16-year anniversary of when two jackasses in trench coats decided to shoot up their school in Littleton, Colorado, the Columbine shooting.
Yeah. And we also got,
I'm sorry I didn't really research it much. Those are just things off of memory that I know historically, April 20th.
I know there's some famous birthdays. We got Shamar Moore, whoever the fuck that is.
TV actor.
Look, there's all these people that
Carmen
I just looked
Electra.
up. George Takei. I think he just died. I don't know, he just died.
Ooh, Carolina Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, I don't care. Luther Vandross, you see what I'm saying? Billy Magnuson, whoever the fuck that is. Crispin Glover.
Don Mattingly, famous baseball
what was Crispin
player.
Glover in? He was Willard. Willard's such a weird movie, isn't it? Killer Mike, whoever the fuck that is.
Famous Hall of
Don Mattingly.
Is he Hall of Fame, Don Mattingly?
Oh, I would believe so.
I would think so. Adolf Hitler, criminal. That's what they
Howard.
Criminal. That's funny as hell.
Adolf Hitler. Yep. Who else? How come I'm not on here? I should be on famous birthdays. Yeah, Nick Tesla, the superstar radio personality.
Is today your birthday?
No.
Is today Nikolai Tesla's birthday?
Oh, no, I'm talking about I should just be on this site, not on for this day. I'm talking about my birthday, yo.
Oh, you should be listed on this site.
Yeah, Ryan O'Neal, he's the dad from...
That's true, I've never heard of most of these people.
Well, if anybody doesn't know who Ryan O'Neal is, that's the dad from Malibu's Most Wanted. If you're down with Glick, you're down with the chicks or something. I can't remember what it was. Steve Spurrier, you know.
Mother Angelica is 92 today.
Yeah.
Religious leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was a little more prophetic things and birthdays on April 20th. I thought Bob Marley died on April 20th.
Did he?
And maybe Jerry Garcia died on April 20th. I don't know. There's some connotations there. But we're not going to spend too much time on April 20th because you know what? We got a lot of stuff to get into. We just wanted to let people know that we're going to sound a little bit like NPR for this show because it's 420. For us, it's 420. For you, it's 422. And I'm sorry that you have to hear us a little bit quieter than usual for...
just turn it up louder, you'll be fine.
Well, what I've realized also is our sound is also, like, blaring. I don't know if you've ever noticed. Our sound is ample. You know, it's good. Our sound is good. So I don't think anybody should have a problem hearing us. And if you do have a problem hearing us, we do apologize. And if there's really a problem, let us know in the comments below, and we'll fix the video and get up a new one. But I don't think anybody will have a problem. But, hey, this is... the Where We Lied To channel. I don't know. We got to give a shout out to Where We Lied To and 3NM Podcast.
And the Big Plantation.
Oh, yeah, the Big Plantation.
Give them a shout
check
out.
it out, thebigplantation.com. Who else? What do you call it?
Shout out Jesse Ventura, Off the Grid, my homie.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say the Where We Lied to Facebook page. I'm in marketing mode, but let's get to stuff here. All right, we don't have that. I guess that was our advertisement of the day, or advertising.
Check out brainstorming.
Yeah,
every week.
Yeah, check out brainstorming. Of course, I was telling you to check out 3NN. You need to check out
as well.
brainstorming. Brainstorming's the shit.
Yeah, you're checking it out now, but check it out some more. Share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends. Share it with everybody.
3NN's becoming a household name, but brainstorming's fresh.
Things.
It's new. It's young. You got to share it. Make us known. Put us out there.
Bellis. How about some bellis, Brian? Some bellis. All right. You ready, Brian? First thing we wanted to touch on was this is coming from RT News or RT.com. It's basically U.S. military instructors. So this is the headline: is U.S. military instructors deployed to Ukraine to train local forces.
Yes. Yeah, apparently we're training the Ukrainian government, their military forces, to, quote, defend them, or help them better defend themselves against what I assume Russia? A war with Russia. Yeah.
Now, I guess they're not technically in a war with Russia right now. There was the Crimea thing and everything, but other than that, there's not technically a war between Ukraine and Russia going on now, correct?
I don't believe there is.
No, I don't believe there is. If we're wrong,
it says it's going to be training, it's going to be drills, it's going to last 24 weeks and involve some 900 servicemen from several Ukrainian National Guard units.
Ooh.
And, here we go. In March, the UK started its training mission in Ukraine. It was planned that up to 75 troops at a time would be engaged in a 6-month-long mission. 6 months long, man, that's even more than Jade Helm.
Yeah.
But they're going to be training Kiev's military to, this is the quote, strengthen the defensive capability of the Ukrainian armed forces and build the resilience that they need.
Wow. That's insane, bro. That really is insane. Here's my question, though. Is this looks like it could be gearing up, I guess you could say, gearing up for a possible World War III, or possible at least, because it's basically showing that the United States is going to support Ukraine. So if Russia decides to invade Ukraine, it's an active war on the United States, declared on the United States.
That might be how Russia's taking it, because there's a quote from Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov. The presence of foreign instructors in Ukraine, where an internal conflict remains unresolved in southeast and where problems arise with the implementation of the Minsk peace agreement, does not help in settling the conflict and producing an environment beneficial for all, or for it. On the contrary, it destabilizes the situations. So I think they're thinking, well, this is bad. This looks like things are going to get worse. It might be Cold War syndrome all over again, where one side keeps trying to outdo the other until finally someone fires the first shot.
Hear this. I'll read you from the bottom of the article here. It says, instead they are investing, I guess I'll read from the top of the paragraph, but there's a high level of mistrust remaining among the rebels towards Kiev. The Ukrainian authorities don't appear to be willing to resume social payments in the areas they don't control, a measure specified in the ceasefire agreement. Instead, they're investing heavily into rearming and training of the Ukrainian Army and National Guard. Combined with the belligerent rhetoric dominating the political discourse in Ukraine, there is rising fear that Kiev plans a new offensive instead of sticking to the peace plan. And especially if the United States is coming in to help them, what does the United States like to do? We're fucking warmongers, Brian. So we're coming in to push them, almost kind of bully them. It's like a bully. It's not a bully. It's, all right, look, Ukraine is a little 100, I love my analogy sometimes. Ukraine is a little 100-pound kid, all right, and Russia is the 300-pound kid, but not 300-pound kid who's just like fat and dopey. He's a 300-pound kid who's beast mode and like is a lineman and like really could like destroy somebody if he wanted to. Even though he's a teddy bear when you get to know him, but he's a lion and could destroy somebody. Right? They're in the schoolyard. There's people surrounding them. It's like, oh my god, fight! Yeah. All right, all these nations are saying fight, Ukraine, Russia, fight, and Ukraine's like, I don't know, that motherfucker took my finger.
One thing we do gotta point out, we gotta remember, and this is proven, you can look this up, this is verifiable. The United States overthrew Ukraine's democratically elected president and installed a former banker.
Okay, yeah, so they are United States. I remember hearing that too, you're right. They're United States puppet. So that's
So
it's really not that 100-pound kid, even though everybody else is looking at it like the United States is pushing that 100-pound kid. But think about it this way: the United States,
that 100-pound kid has an entire friggin' platoon of linebackers standing right behind him.
Yeah, but that 100-pound kid is also just a puppet. So you think you're beating the shit out of Ukraine, and you could destroy Ukraine. And you're not destroying the United States. As long as you don't destroy the United States' presence in Ukraine and in Russia or trying to defend Ukraine, which puts us in a World War III type situation, almost like the weapons manufacturers or whatever, the military-industrial complex is pushing us into that World War III type situation where there are actual politicians and people who just want peace because they know a war between the United States and Russia is possible nuclear annihilation, hence why we're at 2 minutes to doom. Or, sorry, 3 minutes to doom, not 2 minutes to doom. We're 2 minutes closer to the doomsday, to midnight on the doomsday clock, but we are 3 minutes to doom. Whereas we were
really
5 minutes to doom 6 months ago.
The possibility of World War III looming.
Shit's getting cray-cray, son.
We have an even more
Never mind,
immediate
crazy.
threat.
I hate cray-cray.
We have an even more immediate threat with ISIS right across the border.
Exactly.
Right outside Juarez, Mexico. That was a rumor last week. Since we've planned this show, it's been confirmed over the past few days.
Do you want to know how I really feel about that, Brian? I don't know if you really want to know how I really feel about that, because you're going to be like, what the fuck? No, that's stupid. You know better than that.
They are a legitimate terrorist organization, but we fund them.
ISIS is, we created Al-Qaeda, right? And Al-Qaeda was like a vague kind of shadow organization. There was more groups of people who called themselves Al-Qaeda.
We used them to pass the Patriot Act, and then to do some more things, we made them something bigger.
But Al-Qaeda itself might not even have been a real thing. If you check out it's one of my YouTube channels. It might be the Where We Lie To channel. There's a video I have that's called, it's a BBC documentary, or just a clip from a BBC documentary, but the video is called Did Al-Qaeda Even Exist? Or Did Al-Qaeda Ever Exist? And it's some pretty compelling evidence to show that Al-Qaeda was really just a complete propaganda creation of the United States. And there was, there were insurgencies and terrorist groups that called themselves Al-Qaeda and labeled themselves that, but there was actually no organization or communication network or anything like that called Al-Qaeda. Now, some of those groups have come together and been like, you know what? We were duped. We were duped into believing that Al-Qaeda is a real thing and this and that, and we come to find out that it's created by the people who are trying to kill us, and that we're labeling ourselves like that and saying that's what we are and that's what we're about when they created that whole mantra. You know what? We're creating a new one called ISIS, the Islamic State, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Israel and Syria or whatever.
I don't think Israel's in there. That would be crazy.
I don't think it's
insurgency. I don't know. But the Islamic State or ISIS, these guys actually came together, and from what I've seen of ISIS and these beheading videos and these actual responses, here's the thing: Al-Qaeda, there was a disconnect. There was somewhat of a disconnect between Al-Qaeda. It's almost like we lived in two separate worlds. And it's like, oh, you could pass it off as technology. They just don't have the technology we have to connect with us, or we're closed off from them, or they're closed off from us. Right? And that's how we always looked at Al-Qaeda.
No, they're very well.
No, but Al-Qaeda. But with Al-Qaeda, there were connections, but there was no literal connection. Like me or you wouldn't get contacted by ISIS. I don't think me or you was going to, or by Al-Qaeda. I don't think me or you was going to get contacted by ISIS, but I do think it's a possibility. Whereas with Al-Qaeda, it was just like, what? No. But if we talk enough shit on ISIS, and one of the dudes who calls themselves an ISIS dude actually sees it and shows it to other guys, and they put out a video saying our names, that's some real shit. I believe that's possible and happening.
For people who don't know, here's what happened, and a lot of people have their different opinions of InfoWars and Alex Jones, but one of his reporters, Joe Biggs, is a former Army staff sergeant, and he's done quite a few reports on ISIS in the past month and a half, and saying they're in Mexico, and he actually went on a little personal mission down there. He rented a plane to fly over the area where they're at to confirm they're there, and while he was down there, ISIS put out their newest video on their official Twitter page, the We Will Burn America one, and it has footage of him and guy saying in Arabic, yes, InfoWars Joe Biggs, you're right, we are in Mexico.
Oh my God,
we can come across any time. There's nothing you can do about it.
What happens? We gotta transition here.
What happens if they do decide to come across?
No, what happens if they come across? No. What if they come across? There's parts of the border that are wide open, but what if they decide to come across and not go rogue? What's the word? Go I guess, shadow to us. They wouldn't be shadow, really, but they would go shadow to us and infiltrate our society, right? But infiltrate our society with a goal, like kind of like the whole 9/11 plan. Infiltrate our society with a goal, like a real goal and an immediate goal, like within 90 days or some shit. Not like, oh, within 2 years we want to do this. No, within 90 days they want to, like, bomb Prison Planet or the studio of where Alex Jones does all his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because
they're making
freely
clear
available.
Threats.
They're making clear threats. But what happens then, Brian? What happens when Prison Planet or Alex Jones' studio is bombed? What happened? No. Think of hold on.
Dude,
Your first thought.
What happens if they bombed their houses, their homes, with their families?
That's a different thing. That is a different thing, and that will be serious.
About ISIS.
That
they
will be
might
serious.
Do that.
But it's bombing homes and houses, unless they really clearly state or leave evidence that it was them. You see houses, I hate to say it, but you see houses explode all the time. You see houses catch fire. You see like gas leak, shit like that. You see that happen. But whereas with a building, or especially a business building, or even a slight high-rise, a 10-story building, that if that's attacked, it's an obvious terrorist attack. You know,
could you see them doing something like that, like drive a car bomb up to the studio, like during a live broadcast of the Alex Jones
show? I could
show?
see them trying to murder Joe Biggs or Alex Jones or assassinate them, but I do not see them doing any kind of a terrorist attack or even suicide bomb.
Because I saw a video online where the guy
but maybe they're not that smart.
They were like simulating a fake beheading of a dummy that was made to look like Joe Biggs.
Well, look, I look at it like this. Hopefully, they're not that smart. But basically, I don't think they would come and attack, like, suicide bomb or anything like that, attack Alex Jones' studio, because if they were smart enough, they'd know that that would bring enough attention of the American public to Alex Jones and InfoWars. Even though I have my own certain reservations on him, there's so much truth that he's put out that it would bring so much attention to him in a completely different light than when he was on Piers Morgan.
Very true.
Completely different light.
Well, they're demonizing him publicly. They're subliminally. What was the new movie that came out? The whatchamacallit? I forget what the hell it's called, but the scene at the end of the movie is this little old racist old guy saying, I hate blacks and Jews because Alex Jones told me to. Alex Jones.
Yeah, well, see, like, exactly. Well, they've always tried to demonize Alex Jones to a certain extent.
And
they
he
don't
is
want to
like
give
the
him too
exact
much
opposite of that. He's so not
But
racist.
what if all of a sudden, like, the whole, that's what I'm saying, is the whole dynamic would change overnight if the InfoWars or Prison Planet studios were attacked in any way, shape, or form, you know what I'm saying? And it was obvious that ISIS came over and did this because they declared that they were going to do it, right? But from that point forward, the United States public, no matter how it's reported in the news, the United States public would look at ISIS. That's ISIS's first attack on the United States, like how Al-Qaeda's first attack on the United States was 9/11, right? That's ISIS's first attack on the United States. And where they chose was Alex Jones. So all that's going to bring is support and patriotic, fervor to that kind of attention, not fervor, that kind of attention to Alex Jones and to Prison Planet and all that. And that's what I'm saying. If ISIS was smart enough, they would know not to do that, because no matter how it was portrayed in the media, people would be turned on Alex Jones and forced to look into, well, if ISIS bombed them and attacked them, what were they saying that made ISIS want to bomb them and attack them? And then they start looking into everything, and they sometimes you just get a little taste, you scratch the surface, and you have to you want to know what's completely underneath, and you delve completely into it.
You start going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. I've been down the rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy shit. But ISIS would not want America to find all that out. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they would. Maybe they would do all this. Who knows?
Maybe that's part of the plan to bring us down, make the whole public lose
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they were smart,
lose their faith in the federal government.
Well, if they were smart,
completely.
that's what they would do. If they were smart, they would do that, because they know it would. I think that's where I was going with that. Is they know that it would affect the United States public in a certain way and make them aware, and it would mess with the United States government, and it wouldn't mess with ISIS. Nobody would be supporting ISIS. Nobody's going to say, hey, ISIS, you know what? You guys are doing a good thing. But people are going to shift their attention, and that's, of course, what they want. People are going to shift their attention to the government and to the military and how they're doing fucked up shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's we're not worried about ISIS right now, you know? Try and get the attention off of us. Nice shot.
Thank you.
So, I don't know. That whole dynamic would be crazy if that were to happen. But I guess it's a real possibility that ISIS could enter the United States, and it's not that hard to enter the United States. And they're not going to come. They're not going to come blazing over
Homeland Security has already
horses.
Said, beware.
Like, get out!
Homeland Security said they're already in all 50 states. And the
dude.
report we have from the NewAmerican.com states that the Mexican cartels are helping them cross the border.
And now that's one area where, honestly, I'll have to tell you, Brian, is where Alex Jones or InfoWars would be a much more credible source than Homeland Security telling us that ISIS is in all 50 states, because, we've been told plenty of times in the past.
The Patriots are the enemy.
No, that Al-Qaeda is in all 50 states, and there's sleeper cells in all 50 states just waiting to be activated. Yep. And there were no fucking sleeper cells. Sorry, but there were no sleeper cells. It's actually kind of surprising that they didn't somehow pull off a fucking false flag sleeper cell type of deal other than 9/11. They somehow didn't actually pull another one off, a big deal. Boston bombing, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that was Al-Qaeda sleeper cell. It's amazing that they didn't pull off one and tie it to Al-Qaeda and say that was an Al-Qaeda sleeper cell in America, and they do exist. So now you're trying to tell us that ISIS is in all 50 states of the United States? No, I don't really believe that. But I believe there's people who may support ISIS in all 50 states, but there's not groups of ISIS supporters and ISIS organizations in each 50 states that are organizing each week and setting up how they're going to take down America. No, it's like they're not doing that. But you do hear hear about people from different crazy ass places, from farmlands to cityscapes, going and joining ISIS, and it's like, well, that's some really crazy shit. But I don't believe there's actually an ISIS presence in the United States like Homeland Security is trying to tell us. But I think in the South, down by the Mexican border, what we're seeing right now, and what we're, I guess, reporting on right now, is showing us that ISIS is down below the Mexican border and very possibly may have moved above the Mexican border into the United States already. And Jade Helm 15 may actually be a massive preparation
to repel an ISIS invasion.
To repel not just an ISIS invasion. I don't know. Like, when you think about what could be possible, a million things come to mind. But I don't want to say to repel an ISIS invasion, but it's put there almost like it's going to be not a permanent thing, but I guess maybe intelligence looked at it like ISIS will have the ability to make moves on United States cities and try and take over United States cities within 2 months. So they're like, we have to start this drill within 2 months.
They're right across the border from El Paso.
Yeah, so maybe this is all really just Jade Helm 15 as a response to ISIS being in Mexico right at the border and not trying to alarm the American citizens, even though there is some shit going on. And then again, if you also think about how the whole world works and how the whole war machine works, how does it work, Brian? ISIS is actually the puppet masters of ISIS, more than likely are the same puppet masters of us. And they both want war, and they both want death, and they both want depopulation. And it's like, you know what? Let's push for this. So the puppet masters may be calling down from the top, like, we're about to go to war with ISIS in the United States.
I just glanced down and saw the middle of this paragraph in this article on the NewAmerican.com.
Okay.
It says, pointing to information provided by the Mexican officials, the group reported that a joint operation involving the Mexican army and federal law enforcement officials discovered documents in Arabic and Urdu, Muslim prayer rugs, and plans of Fort Bliss, which houses the U.S. Army's 1st Armored Division and is located in El Paso near the U.S.-Mexico border.
Now, where'd they find all this?
They found all this, according to Judicial Watch reports, saying relying on Mexican Army field. Mexican Federal Police Inspector. ISIS camp is situated about 8 miles from U.S. border near El Paso, reportedly known as Anapra, and just west of the violence-plagued Ciudad Juarez.
No, but where did they find all that stuff?
I'm trying to find another ISIS cell said to be west of Juarez in Puerto Palomos, targets New Mexico towns Columbus and Deming for easy access to the U.S. Judicial Watch reported, citing the same knowledgeable sources, pointing to information provided. It does not say in this article where those documents were found.
What? It talks about the documents, but it doesn't say where those documents were found? That is one shady fucking thing.
Yeah, I think it assumes that people already know from Judicial Watch.
Or maybe, honestly, maybe the cartels and ISIS, because down at the bottom it starts talking about the cartels and how we've been letting Fast and Furious, come on, we gave them guns, but how the cartels have been just running rampant and murdering sprees, and it's entered into the United States. It hasn't spread really bad. It hasn't spread really far into the United States, but it's entered into the United States. What if ISIS and cartels are all joining up into one massive, like, I think there's actually a movie coming out. A movie coming out of all the bad guys from, like, the Marvel universe or something. There's a movie coming out of all the bad guys from, like, the Marvel universe, all on, like, a team. Is that what's getting ready to happen in Mexico? Is that all these drug cartels and ISIS groups
but how
are coming
is this
together
gonna work?
and they're
The CIA holds hands with the cartels. Does that mean we're going to join forces with ISIS then? Is that why Obama
No, but the CIA is going to, what do you call it? The CIA, look, it probably has already gone down, we don't know it yet, is that the CIA has actually funded certain parts of ISIS because ISIS is actually in Mexico. The CIA brought ISIS and thought they were Al-Qaeda, but they're actually ISIS. Brought them to the United States or thought they were whatever, you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure they're going to say it was a miscommunication of intelligence, by the way.
Well, CIA created Al-Qaeda and calls on Al-Qaeda to do things and needs them, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway, basically, the CIA brings ISIS to Mexico, right? They don't know it's ISIS, but then it is ISIS, right? It turns out to be ISIS, right? But they're like, okay, fuck it anyway. We're going to support you, give you guns, give you money, everything like that, because we need you to take care of these cartels, because these cartels are fucking with shit in the United States, and we can't let them do that. And then after that, you'll be rewarded, and you can have their territory and this and that, you know what I'm saying? You just can't be murdering Americans and this and that. There has to be an even ground. We have to be on an understanding, you know what I'm saying? And they went to Mexico, got trained, and instead of killing and taking out all the cartels, they joined with all the cartels, and we're like, you know what? We might have a fighting chance against standing armies. We might have a fighting chance against, because we can do guerrilla warfare. We can look like regular civilians. You know what I'm saying? Especially think about how many I hate to say it, or how many Muslim Americans or people with dark skin, either Muslim-looking or Mexican-looking, are down in the New Mexico, Arizona area. You know what I'm saying? Texas area. Think about all that. I said Mexico, New Mexico. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, like the border area. There's a lot of, there's a lot of Hispanics, a lot of, like, Mexican-looking people. But I'm sure there's also populations in certain areas of Muslims. You know what I'm saying? And imagine them being able to blend in. You know, and hence why you have Jade Helm 15, because if they're able to blend in, then that means you need to detain every single citizen down there, or every single civilian down there, and interrogate them and make sure that they're not actually from Mexico, and make sure they have a job, look into their background, all that. You know, you have to verify and you have to vet people before you just let them walk the streets, because they may be walking the streets with a bomb under their chest, and they're going to walk into the most crowded area they can, and boom, and all of a sudden ISIS has struck, you know, or ISIS / cartels, Isotels strikes. Watch yourself, Brian. Brian just hit himself in the eyes, in the middle of the eyebrows, with his pen. I don't know what he's doing over there.
I'm playing with my pen.
It was fucking entertaining. Maybe if I wasn't high, I would probably just blow it off, but that was fucking entertaining, Brian. All right, anyway, on that note, do you have anything else to say about ISIS in the United States? Because that's a fucked up situation, but we got a lot more to get to, and time is always ticking.
Well, that's a scary situation, but let's get to something even scarier. The good news for President Obama, his detractors no longer think he's a socialist.
Oh,
the bad news, he's now a dictator.
Oh, great.
Yeah, ain't that great? WashingtonPost.com reports, since the beginning of Obama's presidency, Pew has been asking Americans to describe the president in one word. In April 2009, socialist was the third most common word. Liberal was close behind. By 2013, liberal had fallen off the leaderboard and socialist dropped to 7th place.
So this is kind of like, I was looking at this in a whole nother light, Brian.
Incompetent, idiot, and stupid are among the top ones.
Yes, that's like how when George Bush was president, when you ask people, just give us a couple words of what you think about our president, right? A doofus, dumbass, you know what I'm saying? Illiterate.
There's a punk band called NoFX that actually wrote a song they used to end every show with about George Bush during his presidency called "The Idiot Son of an Asshole."
Yeah, okay, see? But what I'm saying is, you could ask I'm sure they did this exact same thing with George Bush, and all of the Democrats were like, He's a dumbass. He's illiterate. You know what I'm saying? He's racist. You know, all these different things, right? He's sexist, right? He's a drug addict. Okay, all these things would come up and be names that were given to George Bush by the Democrats, giving all these names. Now here it is. We're stepping back and realize the two-party system. We realize this is just honestly, like, not this article, but all of that is really just propaganda. And how people see the propaganda, they're fed the propaganda and they spit it right back out. When asked about it, they spit it right back out.
Yeah, speaking of propaganda,
now Republicans are doing the exact same thing.
How people read into the propaganda.
He's a dictator. He's a dictator.
No, get this. If you scroll further down, you'll see right there, the number one response people use to describe Obama is good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But right behind that, incompetent. But right behind that, intelligent. Behind that, dictator. Yep. Honest is tied with idiot/stupid.
Well, that was in June 2013.
That was, no, I'm looking at January 2015.
You are looking at January 2015.
I'm looking at 2015.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you see how all that went down? But liar also went down to 11, whereas in June of 2013, liar was 18.
Yeah, now liar was replaced by dictator.
18 times. Can you believe that? So that's pretty crazy, Brian.
I like how great and confident were replaced by idiot and stupid in 2015.
Well, it's funny because let's look at all these words and let's see which words were probably used for George Bush. Which were, okay, intelligent, no. Good, no. Actually, good, you probably heard from a lot of Republicans.
A lot of diehard Republicans.
He's good. You've never heard socialist. You never heard liberal. You probably heard great a couple times.
You've heard incompetent. You've heard stupid.
Confident, I was probably closer to the bottom of the list. Inexperienced, you probably didn't hear that about him. That was probably very low on the list. Honest, that was probably very low on the list. Trying. Oh, he's trying. That was probably middle on the list, like kind of how it was in April 2009.
Yeah.
Change. Change. Hold on. Change. Look at January 2015.
He didn't lie. He brought change to
God,
America.
Look. By June of 2013, their change was off the list. 10 people said change in April 2009. By June 2013, change was completely off the list.
Wow.
Like, change. Yeah, change.
10 people said change. Yeah, I like how June of 2013, impressions of Obama, 10 people said president.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 people said president in January 2015.
That's like the most neutral, unintelligent answer you could give.
Well, think about the, what do you call it?
What do you think of Barack Obama? He's the president.
Think about, what do you call it? There's some, like, real numbskulls out there. Think about the guy that's just on his way walking to the bar and just really wants to get drunk that night and just worked his ass off. And man, my back hurts, but I can't wait to watch this football game. Or I can't wait to watch the baseball game today. And blah, blah, blah. And then somebody walks up to him like, hey, can I just ask you one question about the president? Yeah, sure. What's up? Give me just one word. The first word that comes to your mind when you think about president. All right, thank you very much. You know, it's like, can you sign here? Thanks. You know, like, that's probably what that answer is. Impressive is down there. Failure was down there too.
Failure.
He is a failure.
He is a failure. No, actually, he's a success. He accomplished his mission.
Yeah.
He's a success. He brought change to America.
It's amazing how in 2012, liar, dishonest was like 0. And the liar, dishonest wasn't even on there in 2012. And then in 2015, or in 2013, it shot up. From 2012 to 2013, it shot all the way up. And now it's back down a little bit. And it's because, politically wise, he's not running for president again. So people are like, don't care as much if he's a liar. And it's like, well, that's what you get as a president.
It's like, now we're stuck with him.
Yeah, now we're stuck. It's same like the George Bush syndrome that we went through. And I'm sure the Bill Clinton syndrome, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the syndromes that we go through not that we go through, that people go through when they're stuck in the two-party system
I'll
mindset.
give Clinton, for all the messed up stuff Clinton's involved in, I'll give him some credit. He declassified Northwoods.
Yeah, but it's really scary.
And that brought the public aware that our government carries out false flags.
Think of Bill Clinton in this light, okay? He's the first gentleman of the United States, all right? If he were to be the first gentleman of the United States, would he not, no matter what anybody tries to say, would he not be like a first gentleman / Dick Cheney? Would he not be like a Dick Cheney but a first gentleman, where he's like meddling in everything that he can? Because I'm Bill Clinton and I used to be the president. I know how all this works.
No, I don't think he would, because when he was president, it was Hillary pulling his strings. So I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, I don't know. Or do you think he'll get back active politically again, because now that he's in, like how Michelle Obama, like when first ladies come in, they do something, and it's not really political always. But
I want to do an
something
episode in the future, real quick. I'm just going to say this now, so it's documented on here, so I remember it. I want to do an episode on Michelle Obama is a man.
No, that's fucked up, Brian. That's not a brainstorm. I don't want.
No, that's a 3NN show. And look into the evidence, Nick. I'll win you over.
I don't want to brainstorm. Okay, I can look into evidence of fucking Barack Obama did cocaine and sucked Larry Sinclair's dick. Not the Larry Sinclair that you can find on Facebook. The Larry Sinclair that was killed mysteriously.
All right, look up Barack Obama's real father is Frank Marshall Davis, and his mother was into lesbian porn.
Okay. I don't know how deep I want to get into Michelle Obama being a woman, because you know what I've realized, Brian? You only have so much time. You know what I'm saying? You only have so much time in this world and in this life. And there are very important things. Exactly. And there are very important things that need to be covered and need to be touched on. And the most important thing is, I hate to say it because I'm going to sound like egotistical or some shit, but is yourself. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain stupid shit where you got to have a filter and just be like, they ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got no time to waste, like Dallas Goldbug shit. And Dallas Goldbug, you know what? I don't look down on him because that's what he chooses to do, and I don't talk shit.
I still believe you are secretly Rick Moranis, by the way.
Dallas Goldbug, it's like, I hate to say it, but I don't waste my time watching any of those videos because I already know what conclusion I'm going to come to at the end. Or if I do come to a conclusion, where is that going to lead me? Is that going to lead to something else or some other kind of profound truth or this or that? And it's like, a lot of times that filter is constantly going for me. And I'm constantly thinking, like, where is this really getting me? You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes down to it, for all I know, or for all you know, this is your dream. And I'm fake. For all I know, this is my dream, and you're fake. That's some 3NN shit, and we'll touch on that again one day. This could all be a simulation for all we know. So when it comes down to it, it's your perception, and your perception matters. And I also believe, it's another kind of 3NN thing, is that your perception and how you look at the world and how how your perception is, whether it's geared towards negative or positive, your perception of the world literally shapes the world. People say, you hear people say, it shapes the world around you. Well, yeah.
You're talking if you're super positive kind of stuff.
What I'm saying is, if this is all just your dream, or life is but a dream, life itself is one long dream, and you're creating it you're like completely creating the entire scenario like you do in a dream. Your brain is completely creating that, right? If that's the case, then don't waste your time on anything that is not going to evolve your brain into something else, or is not going to turn your reality into something better. And because for all you know, you focusing on the positive of shit, or on something really positive and something that's going to evolve you instead of devolve you, that could literally, that one little thing. You think about the butterfly effect, but if this is all you dream, that one little thing could literally change, like echo throughout the world and change the world physically, manifest physical change in the world just from your one positive thought.
All right, well, you know what? We have a lot of negative topics to discuss today, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds of positivity right here.
Hit me, bro.
A sheriff in Washington State
what is this?
Recently came out and said that the reason they had an LRAD tank was to deal with unruly constitutionalists, and the state representative went out and did a public speech saying he needs to come publicly apologize or we're going to recall him as a sheriff because the Constitution is the grounds of our nation. That's positive. The state representative standing up against the corrupt sheriff.
Hey, yeah. I like that, Brian. You're 100% right. Because I was like... And what was crazy about that is, up until the last couple seconds, you had me thinking, like, that's a fucking negative-ass story. What are you talking about, Brian? What the fuck? And then the last couple seconds, you really you brought it home, dude. So, I like that, dude. I like that, because there is a positive... There are many positives.
And I just heard that last night on...
And, like, when you see something like that, that's uplifting, and that gives you power. When you see something that
Believe
sucks.
it or not, that was last night on the friggin' Alex Jones show. That's where I heard that. They showed the.
See, that's why I don't mind.
They showed the clip.
That's why I'm not 100% anti
state representative.
You can get some positive. You can.
No,
get
this
some awesome
representative was
Jones.
up there. He was really. He did like a little 3-minute spiel for the media, the local news media in the town about it.
See, I just choose not to. It's my own choice. I choose not to watch any or look at any of Alex Jones's stuff that has any kind of negative connotation to it.
Every documentary he's ever done is negative if you look at it from...
Well, no, not necessarily. It's when you watch some of his videos, it's like focusing on the negative. Yeah, those documentaries are important, and you're kind of right in a sense. Yeah, I guess you are.
I mean,
right.
it's a negative... The bring down of
negative,
our country,
that
is very negative.
It's more sharing information with you and not getting you, like, too worked up, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, if you watch his show...
You're going to get worked up.
Yeah, you can get worked
can't
up.
help
And
it.
it's like, honestly, I don't
It's
know.
a roller coaster ride, his show, because it's like 1 second he's totally calm, and the next, oh my God, it's the end of the world!
See, and I don't want that, because when you... everything you intake can be... Everything you intake, no matter what it is, whether it's a show or some shit like that, or even fucking a podcast or some shit like that, if you intake something positive, what's going to start coming out of you, if you just continue to take in nothing but positive is going to start coming out of you. But if you intake negative, and negative, I mean, like, Alex Jones screaming and yelling, like, he could present it NPR
1776!
style. We could present it NPR style, and people still get the information and can still understand that it's important. Whether or not they get worked up or not is a whole nother story. But they can still get the information. But to get people worked up, it's like that's
like you
intaking
did,
negative.
like you did on Y2K.
But that's intaking negative, and that's when you're going to get people outputting negative as well, and
True.
looking at things in the negative light. And it's like, well, that's what their input. That's their input. So what do you expect the output to be? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I have been trying to focus on with myself in the past few months. So, anyway, Brian.
On negative output, speaking of
inputs and outputs, I think we got to talk about the IMF, or at least a former head or chief of the IMF, which is a World Bank. The
International Monetary Fund.
Exactly. It's not the World Bank, but because there is a World Bank, it is one of the two major world banks.
And Rodrigo Rato, who was their head from 04 to 07. He ran into some legal problems earlier this week involving money laundering and tax fraud. Former IMF bank head involved in fraud. What are the odds of that, Nick?
What you find is sometimes you find that there are certain people that are able to get away with tax evasion because they're smart about the way that they go about it, and they're smart about hiding their income. And
this is actually really funny.
And then, there's other people that do it just because they know it's all a scam. But then that doesn't mean you're exempt from the scam catching up and biting you in the ass because you're not falling in line with the scam that's already been agreed to by everybody. You know?
Well, this article posted on the 17th of April. This is from NPR, by the way. Mm-hmm. Tax and customs officials raided Rato's Madrid home last night and took him away in a police car. He was released overnight. Judge is preparing to charge him with money laundering and tax fraud. He's accused of hiding part of his personal fortune overseas illegally and also of mismanaging funds at Bankia, the big Spanish bank he headed before it went bankrupt and needed a bailout.
See?
Interesting.
Yeah. See?
He's now become a symbol of corruption revealed when Spain's economy collapsed.
Well, that's what's funny, and it's like, honestly, I could really see 5 years from now, maybe not on an American show, but I could see him on some sort of a financial show 5 years from now. And nothing, you know what I'm saying? He might go to jail for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. He's not Bernie Madoff. You know what I'm saying? This guy was a chief of the IMF. Maybe, but think about the IMF chief, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember. The IMF guy who assaulted or raped a housekeeper at a hotel. And I think they held him or whatever. But what did you end up hearing about that? He was disgraced. Trust me, like he was looked down on. But what ended up happening to him? Is he sitting in a jail cell today? Honestly, I don't know.
I have no idea.
But I'd put about $50, I'd say, and I make, let's just say, put it this way, I make about $200 a week. So I'd put a quarter of my weekly income, right? I would put that on what I just said. What did I just say? I just fucking got finances in the brain.
I don't know where you were going with it. You settle.
Oh yeah, I'd put $50 that that dude, that former IMF chief, the other one that raped the housemaid or whatever, that he's not in jail.
Oh, probably not.
Because he worked for the IMF. He's got connects. He's got money. He's good. He's in the loop. Even if you're nailed for something.
Well, that's what this guy's probably. Rato's going to probably buy his way out of this one. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's probably like Rato.
Honestly, I think sometimes things like this happen and they're investigated. And if you're not willing to pay off or you're supposed to pay off, then that's when it goes to the news. And that's when you might be fucked for the rest of your career or the rest of your life. But maybe that's not how it worked. But what I'm saying is, like, this happens other times, and people pay off who they need to pay off. And, yeah, they might have evaded taxes for a long time, but they paid off who they needed to pay off, and it wasn't in the news at all. And that person's career went on, this and that. Maybe this guy said to the wrong person, I ain't paying you shit. I'm former chief or head of the IMF. I ain't paying you shit. And they said, okay, all right, no problem. And they fucking went outside. All right, we're going to have to, like, rack him up on tax evasion bull. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even realize. He thought he was above the law because he's Mr. IMF chief and he's above tax code and this and that. Nah, I don't fucking think so. You know what I never understood and what I never liked is why is there even a tax on the poorest 5% of our country? Why is there a tax on... I mean the poorest 5% that work and actually bring in an income. I'm not talking about the ones that are hooked on the socialist system of welfare, food stamps, and all that, and unemployment checks and trying to find ways to
because we still
not
have
actually
to,
work.
We still have to pay off the cost
money.
of the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I don't know, Brian. I'm fucking zoning out a little bit. I think I might need to hit this... hit the toilet bowl here for a second. We'll see. Yeah.
Something that is in the news.
Dump my brain farts out. What's in the news, Brian?
Bunch of Walmarts. Closing.
These are crazy. I heard they were because of plumbing issues, Brian.
Yeah, but this is according to ABC News. No plumbing permits have been pulled in any of those 5 cities where the stores were suddenly closed.
Now, what was I saying before? Why would Jade Helm B-15 be going on? Because you would need to detain at least momentarily each citizen and civilian. You need to detain, and any civilians that may possibly be linked to ISIS, Al Qaeda, or a drug cartel in Mexico. Those people are actually going to be detained in FEMA camps, and you know there's going to be American citizens who are innocent detained in those camps. But what are those camps going to need? Commissary. And what are these Walmarts perfect
I see where you're going with
Commissary,
this.
Brian.
But here, let me read to you from thebusinessinsider.com.
The parking lot's an amazing yard.
A Walmart spokesman told the Consumerist that the company had not secured permits because, quote, we have yet to know the full extent of the work that needs to be done. We may also have to do additional upgrades that may require additional permits, end quote. Now, some employees believe that the stores were closed because of worker protests for higher pay. Employees of the Pico Rivera store were among the first to hold Black Friday protests in 2012, and this was the first store that went on strike, an employee told CBS Los Angeles. This is the first store in demanding changes for Walmart, and it was one of the first ones closed.
Honestly, Brian, that sounds plausible, but the only thing that tells me that's not really that plausible, at least in my mind, is Walmart is a company, I don't say that prides it. Walmart's also said that they're raising wages for their customers, or for their employees. They're raising wages company-wide for their employees starting this year, okay? But because a lot of other companies have started to do the same. If the government is not going to keep up with inflation and a living wage, then companies are going to start to agree to do it, at least for their lower paid employees. You know, give them a living wage, give them something they could eat and survive off of. But Walmart is also a piece of shit company who has no problem firing almost every single last person at a store and hiring an all new staff. And bringing in staff, maybe 2 people from this store, 2 people from this store, from the local Walmarts that are only 10 or 15 or 20 miles away. Bring them in for a couple weeks to train your new staff, because there are plenty of people who need jobs out there, and plenty of people who put in applications at Walmart because they want that damn discount. I don't want to call them rednecks, but just think of the zombies. There you go. Think of the zombies that troll through Walmart every single day. Each one of them, if they're a working class zombie, they would love to work at Walmart. They find themselves unemployed and they work in retail. Walmart's one of the first places they're applying to. If it's within traveling distance and it's not 30 miles away, I think they want to work at Walmart for that discount. You know what I'm saying? It seems like it's a good place to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they don't pay great, but at least I'm sure I'll get my 40 hours. Like this and that. People convince themselves to work. So Walmart has no shortage of needing employees. You never hear about Walmart short on employees. Fuck that. No,
then why is it every time I go in there, there's a line wrapped halfway around the store and only 2 of the 20 registers are open?
Oh, because they don't know how to manage their employees. It's not that they have a shortage of people applying for positions. That's a whole different issue, Brian. That's a whole different issue. They have no problem.
I just had to throw that out there.
No, then you're right. Because
the most local Walmart has that issue happen every time I'm in the store. It seems I have to stand in a really, really long line when they're really not all.
Well, that's also
busy.
You got to also think about management. Like if you're a manager at Walmart, if I'm a manager at Walmart, and I don't think I'll ever be a manager at Walmart. But hey, you never know.
I don't think Walmart would hire me.
If I'm a manager at Walmart, especially if I'm store manager, I make sure that my registers are covered at all times. Problem is, when you walk around Walmart, how many employees do you see just walking around like doing jack? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or stocking shelves but taking their time, and you see more employees than need to be walking around doing stuff. And then you walk up to the register and the line's like 30 people long. You're like, yo, what the fuck? That's when a good manager is like. And if you ever go to Walgreens, this is like my favorite thing to say whenever I'm in any store and there's not enough cashiers. If you ever go to Walgreens and there's not enough cashiers, and there's one cashier and the line starts to get to be, I think it's if there's more than 3 or 4 people in the line, the cashier has to get on the phone as soon as they can, as soon as there's 3 or 4 people in the line, and say, IC3 up front, or IC3 to where whatever counter they're at. And IC3 means I need a cashier up front. I need a cashier at the shit because we're getting a line. You know what I'm saying? That's what a good store does. Walmart could be a good store because all that is management.
I used to work at Wawa
and instilling that policy.
Wawa's training policy was they call where the registers and the tobacco and everything is, they call that the core of the store. And the slogan in training was 3 or more go to the core. So if you saw more than 3 people waiting in line, you're supposed to go jump on register.
Or I've seen that in Wawa. I've seen that plenty of times where you're standing in line, you're literally 4 people back, and you're like in a rush, and all of a sudden you see some person walk up to the register and like, I can help the next person over here.
Yep.
It's like, all right, giddy up, let's do it. All right, we got to move on, Brian. This is really, I guess this is our brainstorming 180 for the day. That was not a brain fart. That was just me.
That was
clearing,
making a noise.
That was me clearing the cobwebs out of my brain.
Through his anus.
Think about this, Brian. Afghan opium production, which opium is one of the main ingredients to heroin, correct?
It is.
Okay, Afghan opium production, which is where a lot of the world's opium supply comes from, okay? Afghan opium production has soared over the past 15 years, thanks to the United States, or America's war on terror.
America! Fuck yeah! Right? Coming again, save the motherfucking day!
Now, one thing that I don't know if a lot of people know, there are a lot of people that know this, but there's a lot of people who don't as well, is that in the year 2000, in the year 2000, Afghan opium production was literally almost completely, I said literally almost completely eradicated thanks to the Taliban. The Taliban, which was the government of Afghanistan at the time. Okay? Now, and you think of Taliban, you're like, oh, no, those. You think, when you hear it, it's funny to think of Taliban, the name Taliban, and how so many rednecks and so many America, fuck yeah, those dudes.
Yeah.
How many of those call people Arabs and Talheads? So think of Taliban. You know what I'm saying? Tally.
Yeah.
I always think of Tally when I hear Taliban. But if I can think of a lot of rednecks, I hear Taliban, they think of tailheads. And so I hate that connotation, because Taliban was
camel
not,
jockeys.
And you've also heard many people, and it shocked me when I first heard it, but then again I had to bring myself back to reality and understand that Taliban is not necessarily an actual terrorist organization. It's actually a government that John McCain has spoken many times about supporting the Taliban.
Yeah,
and the
right.
Taliban supporting the United States and this and that. But in 2000, the Taliban had actually almost completely eradicated opium production in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan has always been one of the main suppliers of opium for the United States, for the world, right?
Well, that's actually how our military started to wake up, is a lot of Marines got pissed off that when they enlisted to go fight Al-Qaeda, they found themselves guarding opium fields in Afghanistan.
Well, you also think about all of the converging forces around 9/11. After 9/11, literally within a month or two after 9/11, opium production picked up in Afghanistan. And all of a sudden, since 9/11, if you were to look at all this on a chart, opium production has soared. I believe it's 2 or 3 times more opium being produced than was ever produced before 9/11. At the highest point before 9/11, there's 2 or 3 times more opium being produced now. And it's like, oh, okay, coincidence. No, when you tie that fact and that stat to the fact that there are many soldiers who have taken pictures and have complained and have stated openly and publicly that they have guarded opium and poppy fields in Afghanistan.
And most of them are not too happy because that's not what they enlisted for.
Exactly. Well, hey, some of them, to be honest with you, Brian, if I enlisted in the military, because I'm the type, I'm a peaceful guy. I don't want to shoot anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want violence. I don't want action. I don't want that kind of action. To me, going out, I get deployed. And I get to sit in a field.
Afghani poppy field, knowing that your government is going to use it to disperse drugs in your country.
I'm outside of that box right now. I'm saying if I personally, when I was 18 years old, if I was a soldier and got deployed to, and I didn't really want to join the military because I didn't want to shoot anybody. I was scared to get my shot myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even sure if I'm fighting for the right thing and this and that. But I'm not sure. I don't know anything about all that shit. I don't know about the fucking whole military industrial complex and all that. I just joined the army because I'm 18 and I just got out of high school and I need somewhere to go and I need to make some money and get my life started, right? Well, if I got deployed to an Afghan poppy field and I literally just get to sit down at the edge of the poppy field and lay back in the poppy field and anybody coming, I'm looking both ways and it's cool, it's nice out. You got a couple of my buddies here with me, we're all hanging out, joking, having a good time, nothing really ever goes on, sometimes there's people that you can see from a distance, but they don't want to come anywhere near you because they know you got guns and this and that, right? I don't know how many attacks go on at them, but, right, if I'm 18 years old and I don't know about the political system, even if I got somebody at the time telling me, like, man, this is fucked up, I didn't sign up for this and that, I'm sitting there relaxing like, I signed up for this. Hell yeah, I signed up for this. Like, I'm collecting a paycheck. I'm out, like, literally in a whole nother country with a gun in my hand to arm myself just in case, protecting this field. This is awesome. And it turns out this field is actually drugs that end up fucking that rich people in the United States end up doing. Rich people and bums and hobos do in the United States. That this ends up becoming that drug. That's what these guys are saying. That's hilarious. If I'm 18 and I'm not woken up, that's a cush job. If I'm woken up, I'm not even joining the military, Brian.
Good point.
So those guys are kind of stupid because they could be conscientious objectors at any point they want. When you say you're a conscientious objector, you're done. You know what I'm saying? You're conscientious. You might be relegated to a desk job, but you're not out in the field. If you didn't sign up for that, okay. But if you're a conscientious objector, you're making your way out of the fucking military because you don't believe in that. Your conscience doesn't make you object to the whole military system in general. You know what I'm saying? So they can complain all they want, but if they're not conscientious objectors, then they're just bitching and moaning because they have to do their job just like the rest of us. You know? Even though their job is fucked up. Hey, that is fucked up. But if you're going to continue to do it, you're still supporting it. You're just bitching about it while you're doing it, Kind of like us.
True.
Until we get to the point of making money off of doing shows and doing stuff online, we still are sucking the dick system. We're still getting paid by the man, working for people, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, people could say, oh, well, if you don't believe in that or you think capitalism is fucked up, why do you participate in the system? It's like, well, I was born into the system, and unfortunately I'm forced to unfortunately, I didn't learn until a few years ago how the system really works, and to get myself out of it, it's going to take me another couple of years. And until then, I'm going to have to suck the system's dick. And I don't really want to, but I got to. All right, moving on, Brian. Moving on, because this is more about the system and how it's all just kind of like, I don't like the system. Former TSA agent says groping was just a game. If you don't see me, I'm doing air quotes. Yeah. Just a game.
CBS Denver reports that...
I need to hit this on that. I need to hit the toilet bowl for that one.
Yeah. A former TSA screener at Denver International Airport says colleagues who conspired to grope male passengers viewed what they were doing as just a game. He opted to speak after a CBS 4 investigation earlier this week revealed 2 TSA screeners were fired for participating in a conspiracy to allow a male TSA agent to grope the genitals of male passengers. The former worker told CBS 4, quote, there was more people that knew it was going on. He asked that he not be identified because the TSA forbids its current and former employees from discussing their security procedures. But he says, they made it seem like a game. They were having fun with it. I heard them saying it was just a game.
Have fun with the
job. It's a really sick game to play.
Well, no, anybody who ended up working for the TSA, I don't want to say anybody, but a good probably 50 to 60% of the people that ended up working for the TSA were sick fucking people. You know? Because if they got in, same as what we were just talking about. If you got into that job and you thought it was you're protecting America and you're making sure no terrorists get on planes and this and that, and then you get into that job and you realize it's groping fucking little old ladies and people in wheelchairs and fucking...
Oh, it gets worse than that.
And grabbing dudes' balls.
It gets worse than that.
Like that.
He goes on to say, when an attractive male passenger would enter the security scanner, the agent would press a button indicating the passenger was female, triggering an alarm, then allowing her male colleague to conduct a pat-down search on the genitals of passengers he deemed attractive.
It's sick, and it's like almost like a fraternity being allowed to take care of security, and they just turn it into exactly what they would do, turn it into a game. You know, and then when you think about, and it's also when you think about that these guys, a TSA agent and a regular TSA agent that you go through a boarding gate or whatever, and you see right there, right, or you go through security at the airport, that TSA agent you're seeing there sitting at his stool watching the X-ray machine or whatever is making $9 an hour. Or $10 an hour at the most, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they're looking at their job kind of how a McDonald's employee looks at their job. Like, fuck this. I don't give a shit, you know what I'm saying? They don't give a fuck about me. This airport makes how much money? TSA is connected to the government, and we can't even fucking get a half-decent paycheck. We're government employees, and we can't even get a half-decent paycheck. Fuck this. We're fucking... Hence you see so much tomfoolery and bullshit and fuckery involved with the TSA, you know? It's kind of like the Secret Service, but Secret Service, like, you got a good job, you protect the president, you, maybe they all know, maybe it's like an inside joke to the Secret Service that they know that the president isn't even really the most powerful person in the country. They still have to protect him from getting killed, but he's not like numero uno, head honcho and this and that, so some of the Secret Service guys just look at their job as kind of a joke, you know? And they also know that the United States money system, because they're supposed to oversee counterfeit money, they know that the United States money's... Yeah,
Secret Service?
What? You didn't know that? That's Secret Service's job from the get-go was overseeing counterfeit money. Then they started protecting the president. But some of the Secret Service agents probably know the Federal Reserve's a joke. They print money like they're counterfeiting money. So it's like, this is just all just a joke, you know what I'm saying? So hence why there's fuckery and tomfoolery involved with that. And TSA agents... I don't want to say it's the same situation because TSA agents are much more disconnected than Secret Service agents are, disconnected from the hub or whatever you want to call it. But TSA agents, I think it's more just a lack of pay instead of, we know the whole war on terror is a sham. I think they believe in the war on terror, but they're like, well, if the war on terror was that important, they'd be paying me $15 an hour. So you know what? They're going to get what they're paying for. I really think it comes down to that syndrome is they just get what they pay for. All right, Brian, we have got to move on. We got about 5 minutes, and we got two more things to touch on. So did you want to tell me about the Wikiliakes? Something going on with
WikiLeaks? Wikiliakes... Basically, they revealed the ties between Sony and the White House. And it seems the White House was targeting Russia, targeting a few other people, political enemies, using Sony technology through what I feel is just pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say fucked up. It is fucked up, but... It's messed up when the government's going to use... Nefarious, yes. The government using Sony and Microsoft, that's not in this article, and that wasn't released, but we know they have their ties as well.
Well, if you watch Corporation Nation and you watch the whole 3-hour fucking documentary, which I highly recommend you do, even though it's hard to get through at some points, you see that, oh shit, the government in certain ways, shapes, and forms.
So, like, all those people
control Sony and Microsoft, or has control.
My Xbox isn't spying on me. My PlayStation isn't spying on me. Yes, it is.
Hold on.
Yes, it is.
And Sony PlayStation, Microsoft. Xbox.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. All right.
And the Kinect camera that can do a 360-degree, 150-square-foot scan of your apartment.
Oh, and think about what we talked about on 3NN a few episodes ago was the future of video games.
Yeah.
And think about that, because Sony and Microsoft are going to be obviously involved in that. So the next Xbox comes out, the next PS5 comes out, and it's like, well, the little sensor says, now scanning room. And takes a digital scanning room. But what you don't realize is it's constantly taking that digital scan of your... It just shows you the first scan, so it shows you that it got an idea of what your room looks like.
Some guy... Meanwhile, there's some guy in a fusion center sitting there watching this information. Oh, shit. Nick Tesla just bought a Don't Tread on Me shirt and
it's like the South Park episode. Some dude fucking... That's not even like that. It's like more like TSA shit. Is some dude sitting there watching me and my girlfriend have sex on the couch, beating off, watching this video, and then as soon as we're done, if he's not done beating off, he fucking moves to... He just keeps tapping the next button until he moves to somebody else, fucking... Either some chick fucking giving herself pleasure, dildo in herself, or something weird like that. Or not weird, but something nice like that. Or two people fucking. You know what I'm saying? That's more than likely what would end up being the case of that.
I love the Nick Tesla analogy.
And it would be NSA. It wouldn't be anybody at Sony or Microsoft watching that shit. NSA would have a back door to watch all that shit. Sony and Microsoft employees would believe that their shit's protected, and it might be constantly recording, but there's no way that anybody could watch that feed, not realizing that the NSA's got a fucking backdoor cable to watch that feed of anybody they want at any time.
With full immunity through backdoor deals through the White House.
Yeah, well, they also own chunks of these companies, dude. You know, have controlling interest in chunks of these companies. All right, I don't know. Yeah, well, they also targeted, the hacking was also targeted towards ISIS and Russia. Is that what I'm understanding? I was a little confused on that.
Well, supposedly that's who they were
so the White House
looking
was
hacking.
to target. But didn't this come from oh, no, it came from Wikiliakes. Sorry, it didn't come from Russia. I thought this was reported from Russia. It came from Wikiliakes. So,
now, RT just reported on the Wikiliakes post.
Yeah, and what's funny is a lot of times when you see something like that, especially Wikiliakes now. Remember how I said Wikiliakes is dying down and nobody cares about Wikiliakes anymore? Do you see mainstream news talking about Wikiliakes at all?
Not really.
Not really. You know what's funny is... Who was it? Oh, what? I know I wasn't watching Fox News. I think it was Jon Stewart making fun of him.
I would beat the crap out of you if I caught you watching Fox News.
No, but Fox News, yeah, it was Jon Stewart making fun of him. Fox News, he mashed all these clips of Fox News together, them sucking their own dick and giving themselves praise and this and that, right? But they're talking about... Mainstream news would never give credit to Fox News. Mainstream news would never do this. We do what mainstream news won't do. And it's like, Fox, shut the fuck up, all right? You are not mainstream news, or you are mainstream news every fucking day of the week. You're the worst fucking example of mainstream news there is out there. So don't try and act like you're fucking the truth and the only... And then one of the clips was, we're the only people telling the truth right now. It's like, suck my dick, Fox, you know?
I think most people by now realize that Fox is not telling them the truth.
Fox is
if not the whole truth.
Fox is a joke.
Change the O to a U. Just call it Fox. They fucks with your mind by telling you
if you look on YouTube, if you just search on YouTube, I don't know if it comes up on Google, it might, is you look up faux news, F-A-U-X news, and you find faux news instead of Fox News, and it's got a lot of clips. There's a lot of clips from other news stations, but there's a lot of clips from Fox News, too, on there, of them just being complete dumbasses. Like, it's just literally a compendium of their daily dumbassery of them just being stupid or getting facts wrong. And it's like, sometimes it's not really the most fun to watch because it's not like Fox's. It's really just literally clips of Fox. But Fox isn't really that fun to watch, so it's not something I look up. And there's also Mox News. There's Faux News, Faux News is one of them. On YouTube, also look up Mox News, M-O-X News, which is another one that has clips of Fox, but I think that one's a little bit better, Mox News, to make fun of Fox and show how they're just stupid. And Fox is a joke of a news organization.
It really is.
And I guess we have to end it with the world is definitely coming to an end.
Yeah, the world is coming to an end.
Here.
We have a pretty messed up situation, but while I'm looking at this article, I'm looking at the featured articles on the side, and this ties in kind of with the article we're about to discuss. I'm just looking at the stupid thing on the right that says, cops, quote, mom hosted teen sex, drugs, and party. Or teen sex and drugs party. When a mom is hosting a teen sex and drugs party, the world's coming to an end.
No,
but as further proof that the world's coming to an end, let's get into this smartphone debate.
If that's a sign of the world is coming to an end, the world's been coming to an end for about the last 25 to 30 years, because I've heard reports like that since I was born.
I saw that there. Anyway, a drunken argument over whether Android or Apple smartphones were superior ended with one roommate stabbing the other one.
Well, first off, before we go any further on this, Brian, let me just say Windows phones are superior to all those fucking phones, especially now that
Screw you, my Android will kick your Windows phones
are migrating over to Windows 10. Unfortunately, my phone doesn't.
Dude, don't make me pull a knife on you, son, I'm telling you.
Cross-platform, son. Xbox One might even have Windows 10 soon. The next Xbox will definitely have Windows 10. But Windows 10 is pretty awesome. It's different. It's like it's much closer to Windows XP than Windows 8 was. It's kind of a mix of Windows XP and Windows 8. So I don't want to say anybody check it out, but that's my piece on Windows Phone. And Windows Phone is better than both of them. But yeah, Brian, did you want to continue on that?
Well, as it turns out, according to Tulsa police, Yaro Mendez and Elias Acevedo were outside their apartment around 1 a.m. when their phone quarrel moved to the stabbing stage.
Right.
As they tussled in the parking lot, Acevedo allegedly struck Mendez in the back of the head with a beer bottle.
Finish him!
When the cops subsequently apprehended him, he was covered in blood and also had several lacerations from the fight. Both men were treated for cuts and bruises at a local hospital.
So who won, the iPhone guy or the Android guy?
Well, that's the thing. It says, Acevedo was booked into county jail for felony assault with a deadly weapon and is being held without bond, while Immigration and Customs Enforcement a hold has also been placed on him.
Oh, shit.
But investigators did not disclose which of the men was the Apple fanboy or the Android devotee.
Oh, so who won? Honestly, I would say that Android kicked iPhone's ass.
Probably.
But I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's probably a much smarter person with a Windows phone.
I just think it's amazing that that these two guys arguing over which phone is better would actually let it get to the point where one of them stabbed another.
Well, yeah, Brian. Just think about the how many incidents do you hear about it at McDonald's with people going nuts at McDonald's because they didn't get their fries or they didn't get the sauce.
I have to admit, those videos on YouTube are hilarious.
They're hilarious, Brian, and trust me, like I get upset if you go to a fast food joint, and I don't like going to fast food joints too often, but I do. If you go to a fast food joint and you order a large fry, let's just say you order $2 free cheeseburgers and a large fry, it costs you about $5.50 or $6, something like that, right? All right, you order this, all right? Now, the most expensive thing you ordered was the damn fries because you got $2 cheeseburgers, okay? And the fries are like $2.75 or $2.99 or something, right, for a large fry. Most expensive thing you ordered. You go through the drive-thru, right? You're handed your bag. You drive all the way home. You don't even think about it. You don't even think to look into your bag. They just handed you a smaller bag, and you're like, oh, it's probably in there, right? You don't even think about it. And you want to be able to trust people and think, oh, they'll do their job. They don't want to see me come back and freak out on them, right? And you get all the way home. And you open up your bag, and you're like, I'm just dying for like 5 of those fries at once in my mouth now. And you open the bag, and the fries aren't there. Like, you ever seen the end of, what do you call it? Weird Al Yankovic's song?
Which one?
Well, duh, Nick. He's got a million, doesn't he? Trapped in the Drive-Thru. The end of the song ends with him saying, I just can't believe it. They forgot the onions. Yep. And he had asked for extra onions. That's what's fucked up. They completely forgot onions. And he had asked for extra onions. Or don't forget the onions or something like that. Or I had said it twice, I don't know. But it really is, like, enough to drive you crazy. But when you see these people going in and like, freaking out and stabbing people and And literally, I'm surprised there's not more shootings at McDonald's because of this, because people are stupid. Think about road rage incidents. People are fucking insane in road rage incidents, and it's like, really? Somebody gave you the finger, so you're going to try and, like, cut them off and kill them? Like, really? You're going to try and flip their car or get them into a bad accident, even maybe yourself into a bad accident, because you have road rage and you're pissed off at this person? Like, what the fuck is going on with the world? So,
that's the state of the world we live in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some areas of this country where it's sad to say, road rage leads to people friggin' pulling out guns on each other.
Yeah. You're right, Brian. Like, it happens much more often than I think most people realize.
I think it happens more now.
You gotta be careful. You gotta watch. You gotta watch your surroundings.
I think it happened 20 years ago.
You gotta watch your surroundings. Like, when you're driving, you definitely gotta watch your surroundings, man. So I guess, Brian, that's gonna be all.
I think that might.
That's going to be all. Well, I need everybody out there to check out 3NN. Of course, it's coming up next. So, coming up next on Where We Lied To. 3NN. Pretty awesome. Check it out.
This week's episode, I believe, talks about the moon.
This week's episode is the Moon Spectacular.
Neil Armstrong says the moon landings were fake. Do you believe him?
Neil Armstrong probably lost his mind. I don't know. Brian, so this has been a great episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm looking over where the camera usually is, and it's not there. Sorry. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been a great episode 3. We will see you next week. It's going to be one hell of a show. I think we're going to touch on a little bit of politics and Hillary and basically we'll do the
Hillary?
roundup. How about we do the... you
want to talk on Hillary?
Let's do the politician roundup, I guess you could say, of who's running at this point, because it always changes. So we'll touch on who we think isn't going to be running. What is
Jesse Ventura's current status? Is he running?
I don't believe he's officially running at the moment, but hey, we'll look into it. Hey, that's something to look into for next week. So everybody, thank you for joining us on Brainstorming Episode 3 with
Brian McFadden.
Hey, and Nick Tesla. There's something. What is it? There's
a war. No, there's a battle on for your brain.
Hey, that's what it is. So why don't you just let your brain evolve? All right, everybody have a great week.
No. Well, not why don't you? It's a direct order. Let your brain evolve.
Oh yeah.
We're ordering you.
Sorry.
We're not even asking you to. We're giving you a direct order.
Sorry.
To let your brain evolve.
Redact my why don't you, and just make it let your brain evolve. Let your brain evolve. So on that note, Brian,
Nick,
let's tell everybody, check us out, facebook.com/brainstorming. Yes, if you can't get there at brainstorming, we'll try brainstorming 1, the number 1. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be facebook.com/brainstorming starting this week. Hey, you know what? Maybe by the time this show airs, we'll have facebook.com/brainstorming. Maybe by the time the show's done airing, maybe an hour into it airing, it'll be facebook.com/brainstorm. I don't know. Hey, go to the Facebook page, like it. If you can't find facebook.com/brainstorming, just look it up on Facebook. Look it up in the search on Facebook, and it'll come up.
And if you still can't find it, then there's something wrong. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, also check out 3NM Podcast. It comes on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. We come on Brainstorming Wednesday nights at 8 p.m.
Question everything.
And check out the Where We Lied To channel. Yes, question everything.
Question everything because we were lied to.
YouTube.com/Where We Lied To. And on that note, everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week.
Next week.